Today we're going to be making some lovely vanilla cupcakes. So, first of all, we're going to start off with just some cooking margarine. It's 80 grams of cooking margarine, so that just pops that into the bowl. And then we've got some caster sugar, so we've got 280 grams of caster sugar. So in that goes, and then a little bit left in there. Along with that, we've got 240 grams just of plain flour, because we're going to be adding some baking powder. So 240 grams plain flour, just pop that in the bowl as well. And we're going to add to that a tablespoon of baking powder. Now, I suppose you could try this recipe with self-raising flour, but I've always used plain flour and added some baking powder. So that's a level tablespoon of baking powder, and it's also got in it 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. Pop that in. Okay, so once we've got the dry ingredients together into the bowl, we're then going to pop them in the mixer, and we're going to just put that on for just a couple of minutes until it's all got into a breadcrumb consistency. Okay, so once that's mixed to a breadcrumb consistency, we're going to add some egg and some milk to that mixture. Now, I've measured out in here 240 mils of milk, just normal milk. This is actually semi-skimmed milk, and that's just at room temperature. And then to that, I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon just of vanilla extract. So just pop that in there, and that gives it a lovely vanilla-y flavour. And then all I'm going to do then is I've got 2 eggs in here that I've just given a little beat, and I'm going to just pop the milk into the egg mixture and just give that a little mix up. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to add this mixture now into the dried breadcrumb mixture, and this, just probably about 2/3 of this mixture just goes in there, like that, okay, and then give it a little mix up. Okay, so once that is all mixed in, we're just going to go around the edge of the bowl, just scraping the sides, getting all the bits from the sides, and then I'm going to add the rest of the milk and egg mixture. Now, when you're making these cupcakes, they are quite a sloppy mixture, so just be aware of that. You might think, oh, how am I going to get these into the cases? But I'm going to show you in a second. So we'll just mix all that up again. Okay, so that's all mixed in now, and I'm going to just scrape the bowl and make sure that it's all combined nicely. So I'll just take the bowl off there and just give it a little mix. Make sure you've got everything from the sides to the bottom. Okay. Okay, so now I'm ready to pop my mixture into the cake cases. Just a quick word about the cake cases. These ones are just muffin cases, which I got from Sainsbury's, and the tins, rather than cupcake tins, they're actually muffin tins, and it just gives a better size cupcake in the end. And I'm going to use this little device here, which was for putting little pancake batter drop scones into like a pan. It's just one I picked up ages ago, but if you want to, you could just use something that's got a little spout on it, just to pour the mixture into and pop it in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this mixture so you can see how runny it is. I'm going to pour it into this, just like that. And then the important thing is, if you overfill these cases, what happens is the mixture will spread out and your cakes will be sort of, well, it just spreads over the edge when they're baking. So ideally, you don't want to fill them more than half full. So they might look a bit funny. You might think, oh, well, there's not very much mixture in there, but they will rise quite a bit in the oven. So basically, with this, I can just pop down, and it's no mess really. You can just pop it in, and usually one of these does about 8, and then I've got to refill it. So you just pop it in. Okay, and then I'm just going to refill that. And then just scrape the last bit of it out. Okay, now this mixture that I've given you usually makes, well for me it makes about 14 to 15 cupcakes. So I've got 12 there. So I'm just going to pop some mixture in these last 3 cases. Now it is very tempting if you have still got some mixture left, is just to top them up a little bit, but with this particular mixture don't do it because they will overflow. So I'm just going to have to get one more case just to fill that, another case. I've got a bit of mixture left in here, and then once I've done that they're going to go into an oven, a preheated fan oven for, I always check them after 12 minutes. They always take longer, but I do like to check them after 12 minutes. So that's going to be at 170 degrees, so about gas mark 4, gas mark 3 to 4, 170 fan. And as I say, I'll check them after 12 minutes. I'll pop a skewer in and check if it comes out. It always comes out with a little bit of stuff on, and you can see sometimes when you're looking they're still a bit wobbly. And then once I've checked them after 12 minutes, I will keep checking them every couple of minutes until I can see that they're ready. So here's my cakes, freshly baked from the oven. Now I did check them after 12 minutes and I kept checking them every couple of minutes after that. They actually took about 17 minutes to cook. But if I just put 17 minutes on the timer, then I think they might overcook slightly, because sometimes they don't take quite that long. So what's important now is that you just pop them out of the baking tray and just leave them to cool, probably for a good sort of half an hour on the baking rack, and then they're ready then for putting some icing on. So I'm going to just pop those out to cool, and then I'm going to show you how to make some buttercream icing. Okay, so to make the icing we're going to use butter this time, because it's not being cooked. I think butter's got a much nicer taste than margarine when you're actually using buttercream. So we've got 80 grams of softened butter. So I did just pop this in the microwave on a defrost mode just for sort of 20 seconds or so, just to soften it. So that goes in there. And then we've also got 250 grams of sieved icing sugar. If you don't sieve it and you're going to pipe it on, then sometimes the little bits of icing sugar get stuck in the nozzle. If you're just going to pop it on with a knife, then you probably don't really need to sieve it. But we've got the butter and the icing sugar into the bowl. And then what we're going to do with that, first of all, before we add any milk to it, is we're just going to pop it in the mixer, and just like we did before, we're going to just put it on for just a few minutes so that it just goes into a breadcrumb consistency. If you do it slow at first, because if you put it on full blast now, the icing sugar will go everywhere, so just put it on the lowest setting that it can go on, and just leave it for a few minutes until it's a nice breadcrumb consistency. Okay, so that's now a nice breadcrumb consistency. We're going to add some milk and some flavouring. So again, we've got the vanilla extract, and this time we just want 1/4 teaspoon, because we don't want it to overpower the icing too much. So we just pop in 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and that goes into 25 mils just of normal milk. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to add that. I'm just going to pop it all in and give it a mix up again. Now this time I'm going to start it off slowly, and then I'm going to just leave it on quite a high speed for about sort of 3 to 4 minutes until I've got a really lovely, smooth, creamy icing. Okay, so it's had a good mix up for a few minutes. Now I don't always add all the milk mixture, and because I've just popped it all in today, what happens is if there's slightly too much in, it does just curdle slightly. and it's not really curdled, but it's just a slight curdle. I'll just show you what it looks like. And if that happens, you can remedy it by just adding a little bit of extra icing sugar. So I'll just show you what it's like, and I'm just going to add a little bit more sugar. Okay, so it's a lovely pale consistency, and just because I'm just a bit fussy, I'm just going to add just a teaspoon of icing sugar and just mix that in, and it just gets rid of any little bits of curdled. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pop that into a piping bag with a nozzle and get it ready for when the cakes have cooled. So what I've got here, I've just got some disposable piping bags. Now these ones I bought from Amazon, and they're just disposable non-slip icing bags. These ones are 16.5 by 29.5 centimetres, and they just come on a roll like this, and they're quite good because you can just tear one off, and they're quite messy to wash icing bags, especially when they've had something like buttercream in them, because it's quite difficult to clean. So this is just one that I've got, and the nozzle that I'm using today is just like a little star nozzle, and it's actually a gem one, and the size is 2D, if that means anything to anybody, but you can just use any nozzle you like. I like this one because it gives you a nice sort of, I'm going to pipe a little rose with this one, and it just gives you a nice shape. So first of all, I'm just going to cut off the end. Make sure you don't cut off too much, because otherwise your nozzle will go straight through it. Cut off the end of the bag, pop the nozzle in, make sure that, you know, it sticks out the bottom. And then I just find it easier if I pop it into a glass while I put the icing in. And I tend to just fold over the top, just so that you've not got too far to pop the icing in. And then we just, with a spatula, just get the icing, and then just drop it in the bag, just like that. Okay, so just make sure you get it all in before you start trying to get any air out of the bag. I like to get every last little bit out. It's easier to wash the bowl then anyway. Okay, so once it's all in like that, you then lift up your corners, lift up the top, and then just take it out, just give it a little shake like that, and that just helps the icing to go down to the bottom of the bag. And then just gently, if you just push it, and what you want to do is you want to expel all of the air that's in the bag, so that when you come to pipe, you don't get a big air pocket, which will disrupt your pattern of icing. And then rather than get it right to the end now, because I still need to wait until the cakes have cooled, I'm just going to fold that over, and I'm just going to leave that there ready for when we come to piping the cakes. Okay, so now the cakes are cooled, we're ready for the best bit. This is the bit that I love doing the most, decorating icing. So I'm going to move the camera in a moment so that you can get a close-up of what we're doing, and I'm going to pipe a little rose pattern on each of the cakes, and then the icing decoration is really simple. It's just going to be a few sprinkles and a little bit of glitter. Okay, so hopefully you can see this okay. I've got my icing in the bag. I'm just going to squeeze it gently. So if you just sort of twist it a little bit at the top here, and then just pop your hand over there and then your thumb on the other side. With this part of your hand then you can apply pressure. Now if I just squeeze it gently there, you can see it's just popping out of the end. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hold it vertically above the cake, and we're going to start in the centre of the cake. So we press it down just like that, and you can see it's coming out, and then we're going to lift it and just take your pressure off, so we can hold it like that for a second. Take the pressure off, and then we're going to, in an anti-clockwise direction, just start lifting it and dragging, pressing at the same time. And if we just do that very gently, we can just go around the edge of the cake just like that. That one's not ideal for a first one, so I've got a few little gaps in there, but you get the gist of what it's like. So I'll just show you how to do another one. Okay, so we start by pressing it down, lift it up, and then just gently pipe around the outside of the cake, and then just lift it off. So that one's better, so you can have a see of that one. And we've got like a little rose design. And then the thing is, with the piping, it's just practice really. You just sort of get better with each one. So again, we just press it down, lift it, bring it round, just slowly. There's no rush to this. You can just do it as slowly as you want. Bring it round, just like that. When you get to the end, you just pull it off. And what you can always do with your finger is you can just sort of blend that little bit in, and then you've got a lovely rose. So one more time, we just press it down, lift it, bring it round, nice and gently, and then lift it off. And sometimes if you find that it's slightly skewy, if you can just sort of shake your cake a little bit and it'll move. So we've got another one there, and it's just like a little rose. Okay, so I'll get on with the rest of these, and then I will show you how to pop the sprinkles on top. Okay, so that's all my cakes iced. Well, not quite all actually. I've run out of icing, but sometimes that happens. I think sometimes it depends how sort of thickly you pipe on them. So I made, I think, 16 cakes, and I've got enough icing for about 13, but it's fine because there's always a couple that don't turn out quite as good as the others, so I just use those as tester cakes. So basically, all I do with the icing on these ones, I've just got a mixture in here of like little pearls, sugar strands, and all I'm going to do is, these are just sort of bits that I've left over or I've just mixed together just to get a nice different mix really. And it's basically just a matter of sprinkling them. I think with these sometimes less is more, you don't want too much on, and just basically sprinkle them over the top. I always put them on a tray so that, because they do tend to go everywhere, so any little bits that I've got left, then I can just collect up and pop back in the jar. So it's just a matter of popping them on, making them look pretty, just like that. And then just as a finishing touch, I'm just going to pop a little bit of edible glitter on. And I think if you are giving these as a gift to somebody, they're just quite nice if they've just got a little bit of sparkle. But even if you're not giving them as a gift, I still like to put a bit of sparkle on, because I mean, to be honest, who doesn't like a bit of sparkle, you know? So this is just some edible glitter. This one's like a very pale blue colour, just to match the cases really. And just again with this, less is definitely more. You don't want to smother it in glitter, because although it's edible, you know, you just don't want it. So it's just very, very delicate. So it's just got, it just gives it a little tiny shimmer basically. You know, obviously you don't want to put the whole lot on, just a tiny bit more of that. So I just tip it into the lid just a little bit, and then just as gently as I can, just sprinkle it on, and it just gives them a lovely little shimmer, just like that. Now I'm just looking at this cupcake here, and it's just, it needs a few more little sprinkles on it, as does that one. And those are the finished cupcakes. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe to my channel, or if you want to leave a comment, then that would be great.